Hello and welcome to a new episode of Go Ballistic here on the Scottish Sun Sport YouTube channel. And what a weekend of Scottish Premiership action it was. It was one that saw Rangers come roaring back to beat Celtic at Parkhead. Dundee won the big derby up there as well. A great day, you have to say, for Rangers going into the back garden of their rivals, coming away with a 3-1 come from behind win. Boydie, even when Rangers were winning those games and the recent run, the unbeaten run they had under Danny Rohl, you weren't overly convinced of them as title contenders. After that, looking at the league table as it is now, can Rangers now win the league, and will they believe they can win the league now?
I think they believe they can win it. We're criticising Celtic for their second half performance, but even at half time, I had a go at Rangers I thought the first half was as poor as I have seen since Danny Rohl had arrived at the club. He admitted he got it wrong. I think he changed it, and you've got to give him credit for that. You've got to give him credit for it's another manager that has outwitted Wilfried Nancy at half time, and it's happened far too often. But Rangers were down the sides of them. It was far too easy for Celtic. There was one of the times Fernandez was away up in the left wing, closing down. I'm all for, man for man and getting after people and that, but I think you've got to identify where Celtic have been struggling. They've been struggling to break teams down. Rangers, I thought, in the first half played into their hands and opened it up and allowed gaps for Celtic to run down. Let's be realistic. We could be sitting here speaking about something totally different this morning. I'll say it again, if Celtic had a striker, Rangers were in trouble that first 45 minutes. The chances they created. But that half-time, Danny Rohl getting them in at half-time, been able to change it. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Nico Raskin deployed as a 6. I don't think he is in terms of getting on the ball, making things happen. He might be able to do it with Belgium, getting after people, because there's no disrespect to Nico Raskin, but there's better players in that team. I think when Nico Raskin's at his best, and he would probably admit it himself, when he's getting after his energy, getting after people, stopping people playing, getting in their face, then driving away from the opposition. That's what happened the second half. Diamondi came in beside Barron, who I thought was excellent the second half as well, Conor Barron. The two of them sat there, allowed Nico Raskin to get forward. Rangers were a lot more solid within that central area as such. Celtic weren't able to cut them open as much as they were the first half. Celtic still had chances the second half, I may add, but Rangers looked more like a threat as well. Gassama, Wilfried Nancy was getting, criticised for having Yang as a right hand. Gassama was the same on Saturday. Gassama was more or less playing as a kind of right wing back as well. But then when he get moved, I thought you seen him, the freedom to go and play in that forward area. Mikey Moore, the freedom to go and play because they knew they were more solid behind. In the second half, I thought Rangers were. Listen, they were good. Danny Rohl will still know that there's a long way to go. But Chermiti, you look at his performance during the week, he was getting about the pitch. You're still thinking you need more goals. There's a Rangers number 9, you're going to be judged. He then goes again tomorrow night. He'll be tested again. But the first goal was brilliant. His movement, getting across the front of the defender, getting in the back of net. His second one, look, people can point to Celtic defensively, and yes, terrible defending, but the big man's still got to pick the ball up. He's still got to travel that 30, 40 yards. He's still got to get his shot away. And for the first time, I thought once he got into the area, he was calm, he was composed, and able to slot it past Schmeichel. So, look, he's still a long way to go. Let's not get carried away for 45 minutes of football. He's still a long way to go. 2 goals at Celtic Park. I've seen people comparing it to Daniel Cousin's moment, all those years ago as well. So, listen, fair play to the big man. He's repaid some of that enormous fee, but from a Rangers point of view, they'll be wanting him now to carry on. He needs to kick on. Don't let this be an isolated moment. Go and kick on. Go and start scoring goals on a regular basis. And then, it might end up being a bargain.
That's the first I've thought, Jonathan, to look like a Rangers centre forward. It's also the first I've thought that Rangers might actually be in this title race. I think I said in the show last week, I wasn't convinced. But if they could beat St Mirren, which they did, and if they could win at Celtic Park, which they did, we would need to consider them as title contenders. The big games are coming thick and fast. They've now got Aberdeen tomorrow night at Ibrox. Aberdeen with Peter Leaving in charge because Jimmy Thelin away. Do Aberdeen get a lift from that? They always dig in and fight hard when they come to Ibrox. And then it's the other game.
Well, you can't say that. You can't say that. You can't say that they try against Rangers. People will accuse you. That doesn't happen, mate. You can't say that. Have you noticed that as well?
Sunday, 4:30 at Pittodrie as well. Boyd will be up there. He's getting the miles in just now. So that's the next challenge for Danny Rohl and this team. Can they handle Aberdeen back-to-back? Because if they come out of that double-header with 6 points, then they're going to be ahead of Celtic, regardless what Celtic do against Dundee United on Saturday. They'll be closer at least to Hearts, because Hearts have only got, the Sunday game against Dundee at Dens. So this, we said last week, was big for Danny Rohl. If you're going to win a title, the weeks just get bigger and bigger and bigger, Jonathan. Home and away against Aberdeen stands now as the next big test.
Yeah, 100%. And then you look, there's the Annan game, there's European games, Dundee. But then Rangers are going back into a block of what they go to Easter Road, Kilmarnock, away to Motherwell, and then Hearts, I think, at home as well. So, listen, the fixtures are coming thick and fast. But that's what happens when you get to the top of the table. Every single game is huge. I'll say the top of the table when you get up there and you're challenging. Look, again though, Roger, you've got to look at it and say it's another good weekend for Hearts.
Yeah. Oh, listen, they're 6 points clear.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I know it was only 1-0 and it was nervy at the end. They should have had Livingston. They should have Livingston put away long before they did. But if you'd said to Derek McInnes at 10-3, you're going to win the game 1-0, Derek would have taken it all day long. And if you say to him at 10-2 at Dens this Sunday, Derek, you're going to win 1-0, he'll have your hand off for it, because that's all Hearts need to do. They are in pole position.
It was a perfect weekend for Hearts. Rangers beating Celtic, and then Hearts going and getting the 3 points at Tynecastle. Like as you say, maybe towards the end there might have been a few nervy moments there, but get the result. Just get the win, move on to the next one, and that's exactly what Hearts are doing.
Because boy, if they're going to stay in the title race, and they're 6 points clear at the minute, they're fronting the title race, there are going to be a lot more nervy afternoons between now and May. So if you've shown you can handle one at the start of January, then why can't you continue handling them as you move on?
I think they will. I mean, I genuinely do. I mean, it's you look at the games that Hearts have had against Rangers and Celtic, and obviously Hibs as well. But you then these games are coming around in a couple of weeks again. Rangers, there's Celtic. So they're going to be. You look at Hearts and again, from the disappointment of last week to then go and bounce back as well, because they didn't play during the week, so they were ready for the weekend there. So it's their first game since that defeat at Easter Road. To then go get the 3 points, get back to winning ways, you've got to give them credit. Again, Halkett scoring. If your strikers are misfiring, you've got other players stepping up and getting the ball in the back of the net. That's exactly what happened. They've already strengthened. We've seen the right back coming in. A few others will join them. So, we sometimes get caught up in the Glasgow bubble. But, you've got to say, overall, the winners of the weekend were Hearts.
Yeah.
For sure. Now, a team that might have felt they could have and maybe should have, to an extent, having the season that Hearts are having this year are Aberdeen, but it's fair to say it hasn't turned out that way. And halfway through the season, Jimmy Thelin last night sacked. He's lost his job. Lost 1-0 to Falkirk at the weekend. The latest bad result in a run of them left them sitting in 8th place. What on earth's gone wrong for Aberdeen this season?
Well, Jimmy Thelin didn't seem to be able to work out what his best team was. There were numerous changes from week to week to week. You would have thought they could have kicked on. People forget how poor they were at spells last season, Jonathan. It's all been kind of muzzed over by the fact they won the Scottish Cup final in that shootout against Celtic. And wonderful achievement, first cup in 35 years. The people who were in Union Street with the open top bus parade, never forget it. A generational win. But that was one game of football. And they've started this season in the league the way they finished last season in the league. Their European campaign was dreadful. I think if it had not been for a goal scored against Rapid Vienna in the last minute of stoppage time in match day 6, Aberdeen would have finished bottom of 36 teams in Europe. They were about 7 points below Lincoln Red Imps. Somebody pointed out to me, I think it was Shelburne, didn't score a goal in the tournament and finished above Aberdeen. I mean, it was a historically bad European campaign. The 6-0 in Greece, dreadful. And they go to Falkirk at the weekend. And again, a bit like Hearts, Livingston was spoken about, is 1-0, but really it could have been anything you like. Falkirk was so dominant. A newly promoted Falkirk team. And Aberdeen fans, even the Aberdeen fans who had great fun in May, even they knew it was the end of the road for Jimmy Thelin. I actually think they've got some decent players there. And I actually think if you get a manager there who can decide what his formation is, what his best 11 is, rather than all this chopping and changing, I think Aberdeen have everything about them there to be a top 6 team. I'm not going to say they're going to push into the European places because they're behind the top 3, and I think they're a bit behind Hibs. You saw that last midweek. But I think they could be maybe 6th this season if they get somebody in to settle the whole place. But there's a lot of things to be done there.
Roger, I mean, I felt like a broken record. I don't know how many times last season for Aberdeen to go on the run that they went on, and then I had to listen to all the Aberdeen fans because they won the Scottish Cup. Fair play. The reality was it was absolutely honking. The second part of the season, the start of this season, hasn't been much better. Aberdeen's wage bill will be as high as it's ever been. Ever been. And all, I mean, it was Jimmy Thelin at the weekend. I know where we need to strengthen. What, you going to bring in more players? It was incredible. When you listen to him going on about, he knows where it's going wrong, but why did you not fix it? Yeah. I mean, he was stuck in his...
And he's had the backing, Boydie. You know, some managers will say, I didn't get the backing, I didn't get the support. He said, Dave Cormack and Alan Burrows have done absolutely everything for him. They've paid I think they've paid over the odds for some of the players who have come 100%. Into the football club. But you look at the squad again at the weekend, Milanovic, Lazetic, Bilalovic, Kjartansson, Sivert Nielsen. Some of these guys have come in, they've made next to no impact at all, Boydie.
Roger, if you go through that Aberdeen team, the majority of the players have been signed, in fact, more than the majority have been signed for money. That doesn't happen in Scottish football. It just does not happen unless you're Rangers and Celtic. You look at the majority of the players that have been brought, and by the way, not only for like 40 and 50 grand, maybe compensation with another club. I mean, it's been a couple of $100,000. Some have been near the £1 million. So there has been money spent from Aberdeen. Dave Cormack, listen, I've been a critic of him for a long time, but he's put his money where his mouth is. He has backed Jimmy Thelin, and he's been a failure. There is no doubt about it. Listen, he'll come back to Aberdeen and he'll go to functions further down the line and he'll celebrate that Scottish Cup win, and rightly so. But his time in charge at Aberdeen after that initial few months has been absolutely honking.
The new sporting director, Lutz Farage, leading the search for this new manager. Also a man with an interesting and varied background when it comes to football. Europe, America. He's been in the UK before as well. Where do you think he'll be looking for this new manager? Do you think it'll be a net cast very wide, or should they maybe be looking closer to home, like somebody like Stephen Roberts? He's there. I know what you mean. He is, and people talk about James Bertalascu at Motherwell and a great job that he's done. I think because it's Lutz Pfaffenstiel and because of his background overseas, I think it's the only player who's played top flight football in each of the 6 FIFA confederations. Write that down so you don't forget it. So I think when he came in, he's bound to have somebody in his mind as being the next manager. He probably didn't think Thelin would go as quickly as he has. I think he will have people in mind.
Roger, I think it would be pure arrogance from Aberdeen. I think it would be pure arrogance from Aberdeen to shut off the Scottish market. We've seen, Wilfried Nancy, I would bet, if you go in the numbers, would be as highly rated as many of coaches that could have arrived in Scottish football. That's the route that Celtic decided to go. We look at where it's at right now. It's not working. Whether in time it does work, we don't know. That remains to be seen. But again, totally discarded the Scottish market. If there is a manager in Scottish football right now, and I know his team's struggling, but Stephen Robinson deserves a crack at a bigger club in Scotland.
I agree.
No doubt
I agree with you. But if Aberdeen are appointing Lutz Pfaffenstiel, they're not appointing him for his knowledge of St Mirren or Motherwell or Kilmarnock. They're appointing him for his knowledge of
Roger, I think
foreign fields, foreign players, foreign managers. This is the route Aberdeen want to go down. If Aberdeen want to... Listen, Boydie, that's...
Roger, at the end of the day...
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just telling you...
That is the league that they're playing in. The league
if Stephen Gunn had still been in that role at Aberdeen, then I think there'd be more chance of a Stephen Robinson getting it. But when Aberdeen go and bring in Lutz Pfaffenstiel after his spell in the US and his spell all around the world, they're doing that because they want to open up other doors. They want to open up other doors to other markets to bring in players and probably bring in a head coach.
Yeah, but I mean, how many more doors can they open? I mean, how many nationalities have they got in Pittodrie right now? And it's no working. Well, yeah. I mean, it's Aberdeen. Aberdeen for me. You look at they're a team. Aberdeen as a city will get behind that club if they're flying, and I think the fans. You look at them; they will want somebody that they can relate to. I mean, Jimmy Thelin. It was just his team reflected of him. Boom. That was it.
I'll give you that. Also, the one thing I don't think will help Stephen Robinson is they went to St Mirren and got Jim Goodwin when he was the hot ticket and it didn't work out. And I think Aberdeen fans will be wary of that potential. I agree with you. I'm just telling you what the landscape is.
Another thing is as well, Roger. You look at Jim Goodwin. Jim Goodwin had a bad 5-6 weeks at Aberdeen. Other than that, it wasn't that. And fair play to Jim. He's had to go and build his career back up, and he's done that. But I look at Aberdeen right now and I just feel as if their manager needs to reflect the city. For me, there's clubs in Britain that's what's needed. And I look at Aberdeen right now, going and getting another foreign coach, going and bring in somebody else, throwing more money at it. Look, they might end up getting somebody and hit the jackpot. But for me, they have more chance of winning games in Scotland if they go and get someone that understands and gets Scottish football.
I agree with you.
You only need to look at one club. You only need to look at one club. If you're speaking about Aberdeen looking or casting the net wide, Hearts have got a database that is better than any club in the world, or they've got access to it. What did they do? Went and got a Scottish manager. Or went and got someone that understands the Scottish League. This whole fantasy of I want to bring in a foreign manager. I want to go and bring in all these players and everything. Aberdeen have had success with taking kids or younger players from other teams in Scotland, taking them up there, making them better, selling them on for money, furthering their career, allowing the club to develop. Now all of a sudden, and I'll say it again, their wage bill will be as high as it's ever been. How many players could they sell for money?
Yeah, Jack Milne.
There's something not wrong. There's something not right.
Yeah, it's going to be a big job for whoever does get it, that's for sure. Peter Leaven, of course, once again in interim charge. He has done a couple of times before for this doubleheader against Rangers this week. Just think to touch on the other big results in the weekend. Hibs hitting a wee bit of a stride again, and Motherwell winning again. Both of those teams just tucked in behind Hearts, Celtic.
Hibs were really good. Had to win the game twice at Kilmarnock. They were coasting, lost an equaliser, and then kicked on and got a couple of goals at the end. They were very good. Our colleague David Friel was at Fir Park to see Motherwell beat St Mirren. He said they were very good.
Oh, is it supposed to be a Motherwell fan now?
Steady. We've now got Hibs versus Motherwell at the weekend. The battle for fourth. I think it'll be an excellent game of football at Easter Road on Saturday, and it'll be difficult to call because, as I say, I was impressed with Hibs. I was impressed with Liu and his 2 goals. Jamie McGrath played well, starting as a left wing back and then moving into a more central role. And the boy Dan Burlasser in the middle of the park looks a really good signing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've had a lot of criticism from Hibs fans in the last week of that, but I mean, I think even them deep down will admit, when you look at the points they have given up, Falkirk winning in 90 minutes, Kilmarnock at Easter Road, Falkirk 2-0 up. There was another one, they dropped points as well, where I felt as if they should have got something. There's some other games where you look at and think, right, okay, we didn't deserve to get something there. But you look at Hibs right now, they're 10 points behind Hearts. Yes, they played a game more, but they should be far closer. I genuinely believe that. You know, we speak about squad depth. You look at Hibs, Boyle missing, potentially a knee injury there, I think I read somewhere. Kieran Bowie didn't start during the week, had been ill, and then at the weekend again. They've got competition for places. Josh Campbell come on in the Edinburgh Derby, scored, and I thought it was excellent. Didn't start at the weekend. They've got, yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. But they've got competition for places. And I tell you, see, when you look at it, Roger, you speak about signings that have had a huge impact, and you see some of. And by the way, there've been a lot of people looking at him saying, "Why are they signing him?" The signing of Grant Hanley has been incredible from Hibs.
Yeah, it was good.
Scotland internationalist. He just knows how to play the game of football. He knows how to keep it simple. He knows how to defend. He organises people around him. It's been a very, very good signing that from David Gray for me. And listen, I know that Hibs fans have had a pop at me recently. I don't care. It's fine. But I think deep down, they will admit that I'm right. They should be in a far better place than what they are right now. But I tell you what, Motherwell will just keep going as well, don't they? They do. It's incredible. Fair play to them. Fair play to them.
Yep.
Another team you certainly got to give a bit of credit to in the weekend is Dundee, and their manager Stephen Presley, not a popular appointment, a lot of criticism early doors, huge win at Tannadice, doing quite well just now, aren't they?
Well, 3 top flight wins in the bounce for the first time. I think since 2014. I was there a couple of days after Christmas when they beat Falkirk, and they were kind of hanging on a wee bit at the end with 10 men to beat Falkirk. And from then they've just kicked on. They survived the red card to Simon Murray in that game. They survived losing an opener to Kilmarnock last midweek to come back and win the game. And I thought they thoroughly deserved the derby win. Ash Hay scored just before half-time. They could have been 3 up by that stage. Billy Cometi has missed a couple. Ryan Astley's missed one before Hay scored the goal. And they deserved it. They're now actually well clear of that drop zone. And they'll be awkward opponents for Hearts on Sunday.
Well, I mean, they're 9 points clear of Kilmarnock now in that 11th playoff spot. I think for Stephen, we even got a smile out of him after the game on Saturday on Sky. We even got a smile out of him. But as you say, Roger, you're 100% right. There was a lot of fans weren't too enamoured with the appointment, but I think Stephen Presley, he's went in there, he told the truth straight away. It was going to be a work in progress, but that's exactly what you would expect it to be. Because of Dundee United last year getting the top 6, Dundee, a lot of the fans, the previous year Dundee were there. You'd have felt there maybe a chance to kick on. They slumped back down towards the bottom of the table last year. But you've got to say right now, I mean, they're only 3 points behind Aberdeen, I think it is. 3 wins in the week have definitely turned it around. Fair play to them. But I look at St Mirren, they've obviously got a few games in hand. I'd expect them to pick up some points. Well, their game against Livingston tomorrow, whether it's on or not, they all wear their pitch. Will it pass the -5, -6 test? That remains to be seen. But you look at it now, Roger, you were there. We spoke last week about Kilmarnock getting a manager in. Kilmarnock are detached from the rest, and Livingston are, detached from Kilmarnock as well. That game at the weekend is absolutely humongous.
Yeah, and I think KIllie need to get a manager in early this week.
They needed to get a manager in yesterday.
They need to get the manager in more or less as soon as Stuart Kettlewell left, and they haven't done. I'm not quite sure what's been going on there. They need somebody in to take control of things. There might be short of players. David Watson will be suspended for the Livy game after that red card. Marley Watkins limped off. They were already without the likes of James Brown and Tom Lowry. Greg Kiltie missed the game as well. Brad Lyons didn't come back out for the second half with a sort of hamstring concern. They're getting light on players. The most important figure, though, is a manager. I believe there's interviews taking place today. They need to get somebody in, Boydie, because it's kind of withering on the vine. 14 without a win. Yeah. And, people will say, Livingston, Livingston will get down. If Livingston beat them on Saturday, KIllie are in bother.
Oh, 100%. I mean, even if they don't beat them on Saturday, I still feel feel as if Kilmarnock are in trouble. You say there the injuries are mounting up. Personally, I feel as if Kilmarnock, and I know of the rant there about Aberdeen, Kilmarnock need to get a manager that understands and knows the Scottish game. Plain and simply because Kilmarnock don't have 5-6 weeks for a manager to come in and then start to understand Scottish football, start to understand the teams they're playing against. Kilmarnock need to get someone in tomorrow morning that understands the Scottish League, because they need to start getting results. Listen, I don't think. I mean, you can lose at home to Hibs, a good Hibs team, which is that's fine. I mean, you don't want to. It's a difficult game at the best of times, but losing to Dundee, the Falkirk won a couple of weeks ago as well, and this huge game now at Livingston on Saturday. They need to get a manager in that not only knows Kilmarnock, but knows even Livingston at the weekend, where they're struggling, because I don't think, somebody coming in and then taking time to get up to speed, implement a style of play. They need to get somebody that knows the Scottish League quick.
The team is down there, but because of Kilmarnock's history, I always think Kilmarnock will get out it. I know they were relegated the other season. Until I saw them at the weekend, boy, I thought they would get out it. But having seen Dundee the week before, and then Kilmarnock, and having seen St Mirren win the Cup and do what St Mirren do, Kilmarnock, for me, are a distance behind St Mirren and Dundee. That would be a big worry for me as a Kilmarnock fan.
There's the other thing. There's the other thing here. It's key. We speak about what's been one of Kilmarnock's strengths in the previous years at home. They've played 11. They've played 11 games, scored 8 goals, conceded 19, and picked up 6 points from 11 games at home. That's worrying. That is worrying. Yeah. That was Kilmarnock's safety net. That their away form was really, really poor, but their home form was somewhere you felt as if even if they were struggling, Kilmarnock could get something at home. It's not happening anymore.
You don't want to get isolated for that part. You don't want yourselves and Livy to be the two isolated at the bottom, because it means that the whole rest of the season's a slog. And then even if you finish above Livy, you go into a playoff against, if the league finished tomorrow, a playoff against Partick Thistle. If that playoff's tomorrow and Kilmarnock play Partick Thistle home and away this week, I'll tell you something, you'd fancy Partick.
Yeah. So here's one for you then. Does that just blow the myth of the Astro pitch as an advantage to the ones that have got it? Kilmarnock played 11, picked up 6 points. Livingston played 9 at home, picked up 5 points.
Yeah. I think it says more about the squads than it says about the surface.
It's a myth, friend.
It's El Plastico on Saturday.
El Plastico.
As big as it comes. Right, I think we better leave it there, because you, boy, need to get yourself to that Hearts Club shop to get that refund in. I don't know.
No. I'll keep it. I'll take it through next week. The following week. When we Hearts Celtic in a couple of weeks. Yeah, we'll be Hearts on Sunday, but it's at Dundee. I'll be back through in a few weeks. I might wear it that day, though. Because it is Celtic they're playing.
Just make sure you're still within your 28 days. You don't want to get over it. They might not take it back. Come on. Right. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you here next week.